folks! Welcome back to my channel, Social Science Skills. Today we're going to talk about how to use skip logic and display logic to customize your survey based on each participant's responses. These two approaches accomplish really similar things, but are useful in different situations, and hopefully by the end of this video you'll have a great grasp on when to use each one. I'm going to give you a little bit of background on skip logic. Skip logic, like it sounds, allows you to jump over a big portion of your survey. We talked about this briefly in the eligibility screening video. If you have simple binary criteria, you can use this to jump someone to the end of the survey and give them a message that was all of the survey that they were eligible for. With skip logic, you can only jump to certain locations in the survey, so it's less flexible but good for when you know you want certain participants to skip a large portion of the survey based on their response to an early question. Display logic allows you to customize in much finer detail. For each question, you can decide to display it based on participants' responses previously in the survey, or even based on other data like embedded data. You can create complex logic to determine whether or not someone is displayed a question, and it's best for when you want to have a much more control. You can only apply display logic to one question at a time, so it's best for fine-tuning your survey and not for skipping large sections. So I'm going to head over to Qualtrics to demonstrate this for you. Let's get started. Okay, I'm going to continue working on this survey that we've been adding to as we've been learning through this series of tutorials. If you haven't seen my initial video, I will link to that up there to get you started. So go ahead and open your survey up. And everything that we'll be doing today is going to be on this main survey page. So that's good. So just as a quick reminder, we had our eligibility screening block and then our question block. I'm going to add an additional block of questions to help demonstrate some of these topics, skip logic and display logic. So do this by just clicking Add Block in the middle there. And I'm going to draft up some questions about beverage consumption and preference. So I'm going to call this beverage questions. Okay. So our eligibility screening will, if someone's older than 18, will allow them to continue on and see these questions. I'm going to create a question that's multiple choice. And I'm going to ask people a series of questions about coffee and tea, and I want to customize the questions that are shown based on their responses to this first question. So going to say, do you drink, the following beverages? I'm going to write coffee, tea, both, and neither. I could also set this up with a multiple answer question so that people could either leave it blank or select just coffee or tea, or check both of those boxes if they consume both. But I think this will give us more flexibility and make the skip logic and display logic easier. So hopefully people can select one of these options. The other questions I'm thinking about adding, I'll go ahead and add them all now and then show you how I want them to be displayed. I want to ask about the frequency of coffee and tea consumption, and for people to add a text response about how they prepare their coffee or tea. So I'm going to make the frequency questions. How often do you drink coffee? 7+ times per week. So that would be like daily. 1 to 6 times per week. Or greater than 6 times per week, so that would be daily, 1 to 6 times per week, or less than 1 times per week. Okay, that looks good, and I'm going to copy this question for tea. Just create a quick copy. That's a really useful tool. Drink tea. And then I'm going to add a question in between these after coffee. And I want it to be a text entry question. And I'm going to ask people to describe how you usually prepare your coffee, etc. So this isn't a very precise question, but hopefully it will get people talking, and I kind of just want to demonstrate how to add a follow-up text question like this, or any sort of follow-up question. So I'm also going to copy this. Copy question. There it is. Describe how you usually prepare your tea. And I'm going to drag this below our tea frequency question. Or just click over here. Great. So now we have our questions. I'm going to show you how to use skip logic to skip people over all of these irrelevant questions if they select neither. The options to add skip logic and display logic are buttons down here in the actions section of the question menu. So I'm going to click add skip logic, and my condition that I want to use is if neither is selected. The other options here are if it's not selected or if something is displayed or not. Then skip to, oh, you can actually skip to any question. I'm going to skip to the end of this block about coffee and tea consumption. And click done. So that's it. So skip logic is very quick and easy. I will demonstrate to you quickly what this is going to look like. Preview. I'm old enough to take the survey. I consume neither, and it'll skip me to the next block past all of those questions we just created about coffee and tea. Great. Okay, so we want this coffee question only to be displayed to people who reported that they drink coffee in the question above. So we know that they drink coffee if they answered either coffee or both, And with display logic, we'll be able to take both of these answers into consideration. So I'm going to click on Add Display Logic and choose our coffee. Oops, choose our beverage question. If coffee is selected, then click Save. Oh no. So if coffee is selected, then the question will be displayed. I can also add if both is selected, then the question will be displayed. Save that. This doesn't really make sense, but just for demonstration's sake, say we're only interested in the preparation methods used by people who drink coffee every day or 7 times a week or more. We could add display logic to this question so how often do you drink coffee? If that's more than 6 times per week is selected, then this text entry question will pop up in the page immediately. I think this is a cool feature to add for follow-up questions like these. So I'm going to save this. Now I'm going to add some page breaks just because I think it'll make this section a little easier for the participants because we are getting more questions. So I'm just going to click on the question that I want the page break after and click Add a Page Break down here in Actions. So this first one will be its own question, own page, excuse me. Then these coffee questions will be their own page. And then I'm going to apply the same logic to the tea questions as well. Add display logic. If tea is selected, or, oops, I think I need to change that in the previous one. This is really important. We actually didn't allow people to select multiple options in this question, so no one would be eligible. So we want to make sure that it's if people selected tea or both. If we didn't include the both option, which may be a better strategy, and had the multiple select, you could use the AND function here. If people selected tea or coffee and tea, something like that. Anyway, so we want to make sure we use OR here. Also, if you want more complex display logic, you can create multiple logic sets and have multiple sets of and or logic. If you guys are interested in more complex examples of how to use display logic and this type of logic that's used in Qualtrics in a lot of different functions, definitely let me know and I'd be happy to give some more complex examples. But for now, we just need or both. Save. And then add display logic to this question. Okay, I'm going to copy the same logic we used for the coffee question, but for tea. So if people drink tea more than 6 times a week, in page, that's going to show up. Save. Okay. And we automatically have a page break after this question because it's the end of the block. Great. So now, since we've added all of this display logic, we don't really need the skip logic. But if you want a just really quick, easy solution, you could use this. But I'm going to delete it for now and show you how that works. Remove skip logic. Okay, let's preview this to make sure that everything is working like we want it to. Okay, I'm eligible. And let's say I consume both so we can see both examples. Oops, I forgot to fix that. And so edit this one, or this shows you how useful the preview is before you share your survey with all your participants. Okay, save. Now I think this should work. Preview. I'm eligible. Both, which is true. I drink coffee 6 times per week. And since I selected the response that we wanted to follow up from, this text entry question comes up. I filled that out. Just so you can see that the display logic is working. If I select something other than more than 6 times per week, that text box doesn't show up. But then if I switch my response, it does show up. So that's pretty cool. Blah, blah, blah. And that's it for skip and display logic. Okay guys, thanks for watching that. I hope it was helpful and that you learned something about how to apply skip and display logic to your Qualtrics surveys. These are really powerful tools, especially as your surveys get more complex. So I hope that this example was useful and that you learned some cool tips and tricks about how to incorporate these functions into your surveys. If you have any questions about the details or how to apply these to your specific situations, I would love to hear your questions and take a stab at answering them. Stay tuned for more videos on how to make the most out of Qualtrics when designing your survey. And don't forget to head on over to Instagram at social_science_skills. Give me a follow over there for more content like this. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.